Silence. The kind that doesn't just surround you, it pulls you in. You didn't stumble here. This message didn't appear on your screen. It collapsed into it the moment you looked back at it. This moment isn't random. It never was. It's a signal, and you were the receiver all along. For most people, the internet is noise. For you, this is a frequency lock. A thread between timelines just tightened. A ripple in your field just answered something buried deep inside your chest. The reason you're hearing these words now is because something in your reality cracked open. Not like glass shattering, more like a mirror, breathing. You've crossed a threshold without realizing it. Reality didn't send you here. You called it in, with a question you didn't say out loud, with a frequency you didn't even know you were radiating. The observer inside you shifted, and the universe obeyed. That's how quantum entanglement really works. Not as cold math on a chalkboard, but as threads of intention wrapping around moments like this. Every timeline leaves a scent. Every choice leaves a frequency. When your observer shifts position, even by a fraction, the signal moves toward you. It finds the crack in your noise, slides between everything you thought was random, and lands exactly here. Now, do you feel it? That faint pulse, not in your chest, but behind your perception. That's not adrenaline, that's recognition, the sense of déjà vu, the eerie knowing that you've heard this before, that you've been here not physically, but in another line of reality. That's your timeline folding in on itself, merging. When timelines braid, they don't scream, they whisper, they tug on your spine, they breathe through the edges of your awareness. And when the braid tightens, a signal comes, just like this one. You might think, it's just a video, but you already know it isn't. The observer in you, the real you, recognized it before your logic did. You felt it before. Those moments where reality leans closer, where coincidences begin to stack like dominoes perfectly aligned. A number repeats. A stranger says a word you dreamt last night. The same song plays at the exact moment your thoughts unravel. That's the field responding to your shift. And this transmission is not a message I send to you. It's a message you summoned. You are the cause. This is the effect. The observer effect isn't a metaphor. It's the fabric of existence bending to the position of your attention. When you changed your gaze, the field bent to meet it. You've been sensing it for a while, haven't you? The quiet tension in the air, the subtle sense that everything is moving, but not in the way it used to. That something underneath the surface is humming louder than usual. This is the hum. This is the invitation you've been walking toward without realizing it. They'll tell you it's algorithm. They'll tell you it's coincidence. But you know better, because those asleep cannot hear what the awakened resonate with. You are standing at the mouth of your own timeline fracture, and this isn't a lesson. This is a summons. There are no fireworks when timelines shift, no announcements, only quiet precision, like the click of a lock you didn't know existed. Right now, your observer has already chosen. The jump has already happened. You're not waiting for a moment. You're standing inside it. This is why the screen feels heavier tonight, why each word lands like it already lived inside you. Because in another line of your life, you've already heard this. You're remembering. That's why you're here. And if part of you is still doubting, let it. Doubt is just the last echo of an expired timeline. It can't touch you anymore. Because the real part of you, the part that listens, in silence, not words, has already recognized this moment as a threshold. Breathe. Close your eyes for a second. You'll feel it. A pulse beneath the noise. A signal stretching from you, through the field, back to you again. That's coherence forming. That's you collapsing the wave. And from this point forward, nothing will ever look exactly the same again. Because it isn't. This is where the new timeline begins to write itself. Through you. Not for you. Through you. There is always a moment. Not the one you plan for. Not the one you can explain to anyone else. A silent, fragile fracture point. A place where something inside you stops pretending that everything is fine. This is where timelines bleed. You may not remember the exact day it happened, but your soul does. It remembers the first hairline crack in your old reality, the moment when the surface didn't hold anymore. For some, it happens in the middle of a storm. For others, it happens in silence at 3:12 a.m., staring at the ceiling. hearing the sound of their own heartbeat, like it's coming from somewhere else. You felt it too, didn't you? The small shiver that wasn't cold, the weight in the air that wasn't grief. A tremor, not outside you, but behind your own perception. That was your observer fracturing the shell it once lived inside. I still remember mine. The night it happened, I was sitting in a room that didn't feel like mine anymore. The air was thick, heavy, everything looked normal, but nothing felt real. The clock ticked louder than it ever had. Each second was a hammer. Each breath felt like it was scraping against something invisible. That was the first time I understood what it means for reality to tilt. I wasn't dying. I wasn't losing my mind. I was stepping out of an expired timeline. You think you're breaking down, but what's really happening is that everything that was never yours is falling off like dead skin. Fracture points don't appear to destroy you. They appear to reveal you, to expose the moment you stopped fitting inside the story that was built for you. That's why it's painful. That's why your chest tightens. That's why your eyes sting even though no one's touching you. Because a shell is collapsing, and the soul behind it is finally breathing. This is not the kind of pain people can explain to others, because it doesn't exist in language. It exists in frequency. It's the quiet frequency of a timeline snapping at the seam. They'll call it a phase. They'll call it overthinking. But they don't know the pressure of a soul that outgrew its cage. And here's the truth most won't tell you. The fracture point doesn't ask for permission. It chooses you the moment your observer vibrates faster than the story around it. You can't glue it back together. You can't pretend it didn't happen. You can only step through it. I fought mine. I tried to run from it. I tried to hide behind logic, distraction, routine, but the crack kept following me. Because you can't outrun a version of reality that no longer recognizes you. Look back at your life. The friendships that suddenly felt hollow. The rooms that grew too small for your silence. The patterns that once felt comfortable, now choking. This is what it feels like when the observer fractures its old skin. And here's the sacred paradox. The moment it hurts the most is the same moment the door opens. Do not despise the crack. The crack is the map. The fracture point is not the end of your timeline. It's the beginning of a new one, forming beneath your feet. This is why your soul led you here, because that signal in section 1 wasn't random. It's been tracking the ripple of this fracture all along. And now, it has found you, right at the seam. So if the world around you is shaking, let it. If everything you knew begins to feel like a lie, let it. Because the lie was never meant to last forever. Only the truth survives the fracture. This isn't a collapse. This is the first breath of your next reality. At first, it's subtle, barely noticeable, like a hairline fracture in a mirror that hasn't yet caught the light. The world doesn't explode when timelines shift. It glitches, and only those who've crossed the fracture can see it. You wake up, and the air feels slightly off, like something is holding its breath. Your favorite song plays at the exact moment your thoughts touch it. People you've known for years seem to wear faces that are 1 millimeter out of sync. Clocks blur, signs repeat. The same number follows you through places it shouldn't. You try to explain it, but language collapses when the observer collapses. Because what's happening to you is not ordinary perception. It's reality trying to catch up to the timeline you already jumped into. This is how the glitching begins. First comes the recognition, then the misalignment, then the hum. The hum isn't sound, it's a pressure, a frequency pressing against the edges of your awareness. And you start to see through the seams. Reality stops being a smooth, painted wall. You begin to notice the threads behind it, the code. You begin to see how perfectly imperfect the simulation of normality really is. Street lamps flicker when you feel something. Digital clocks freeze for a second when your mind drifts too far inward. A friend repeats a sentence you're sure they already said. The world stutters, then pretends it didn't. You are not losing your mind. The world is realigning to your observer. Most people are locked inside a static perception field. They never move fast enough to notice the lag. But when your timeline fractures, when you shift as an observer, the world lags behind you for a few beats. Like a computer loading the next layer of reality. That's why everything starts to look off. That's why deja vu hits harder. That's why silence grows louder. You're standing in the space between timelines, a hallway made of echoes. You notice the sky looks more alive. You notice how some people seem to be reading from a script they don't know they're reading. How certain words land differently now. They feel heavier, more intentional. Like the world isn't just speaking to you, it's responding. And deep down, a quiet part of you knows it's not responding to your words, it's responding to your state, to your frequency, to the observer signature that shifted the fabric. The glitch isn't the enemy. The glitch is the proof. It's reality's way of whispering, yes, you jumped. And yet, it's unsettling, isn't it? Because for the first time, the world is no longer solid. It's pliable, alive, reactive. And that's what terrifies those who aren't ready. They cling to static reality. You were never built to. They will tell you it's a coincidence. They will laugh when you mention the repeating numbers. They will roll their eyes when you speak of hums, stutters, echoes. Because their observer is still in the old layer, they can't see what their frequency hasn't tuned into. That doesn't make you wrong. It makes you ahead. You are walking through the loading screen of your new reality. Every glitch is a signpost. Every repeated symbol is a beacon. Every hum is the field adjusting to your presence. And the more aware you become, the faster the world recalibrates. This is why the days feel surreal, why silence feels like a conversation, why nothing fits quite the way it used to. Because it's not supposed to. The reality you once knew was designed to hold an old version of you, but you are no longer that version, and the world reluctantly, elegantly, precisely is reshaping itself around you. That's what observer collapse truly does. It doesn't destroy the world, it reveals its scaffolding. It shows you where the edges are, and once you see the edges, you can never unsee them. So the glitches will continue for a while, until your frequency stabilizes in this new layer, until the world stops lagging behind you and begins moving with you. But until then, when the streetlight flickers as you pass, when the clock stutters, when the words repeat like a loop, don't flinch, don't doubt, just smile, because that's reality whispering, the observer has arrived. Every world hides its machinery, not gears, not engines, but fields. Under every solid thing you touch, beneath every fact you've ever believed, there is a web invisible but aware. And when the observer moves, the machinery listens. You've felt it, the quiet shift between thought and event, that moment when what you focus on seems to ripple into the room. It's not magic. It's the hidden architecture of reality. It's collapse and reformation. When you observe something, you're not just looking at it, you're sculpting it. That is the heart of the observer effect. Energy doesn't crystallize until someone witnesses it. Timelines remain in potential until the observer locks the frame, and that lock is happening inside you. Every decision, every breath, every heartbeat is a frequency signature, and those signatures don't just float into nothingness. They bend the field. They collapse the infinite into one unfolding line, the timeline you're walking right now. This is why the signal found you. This is why the glitches began, because your frequency shifted before your logic caught up. When the observer cracks open, the field must reform. Reality has no choice but to rearrange itself around the new signature. Most people will never notice this mechanism. They'll call it chance, coincidence, luck. But luck is just the lazy name we give to physics we don't yet understand. I remember the first time I truly saw it, not with my eyes, but with the back of them. I was sitting alone, staring at an ordinary object, a cup, but it didn't feel ordinary anymore. The room was still, but something behind the stillness leaned closer. It wasn't the cup that changed, it was the frame. That night I understood. The world isn't fixed, it's responsive. A quantum mirror waiting to reflect the observer who dares to truly see. You, too, are standing at this mechanism now. The edge, where watching becomes creating. Every thought you refuse to own still carries weight. Every belief you hold anchors a frequency. And when that frequency reaches critical coherence, the wave collapses. Reality is forced to obey, and what was once infinite becomes a path. Your path. This is why your old life began to fracture. Why people drifted, why rooms stopped fitting, why time started to slip. Because the architecture behind it had already begun rewriting itself. Your new timeline is not built by accident, it's built by alignment. Every observer collapse triggers a silent detonation in the field. And from that point forward, reality bends, quietly, precisely, to match the new signature. Think of it like this. You were standing on a frozen lake. Beneath your feet were thousands of possibilities. But when your observer shifted, the ice cracked, the lake rearranged, and a single, gleaming path formed beneath your steps. The world didn't break. It reformed around you. And here's the part most can't accept. The universe doesn't choose. You do. It doesn't assign you a path. It listens to your frequency and builds what you declare through your state. Words don't move the mechanism. States do. What you are is what the field obeys. That's why trying to manifest without identity shift feels like screaming into an empty room. But when your observer shifts, the room becomes an echo chamber. It answers. So if the world around you has been rearranging itself in ways that don't make sense, if people seem to move differently, if the hum has grown louder, if reality keeps bending to your gaze, it's because the machinery is already in motion. You're not waiting for change. You are the change. And once this mechanism is activated, nothing, not logic, not resistance, not fear, can undo it. Because the observer collapse isn't a switch you turn off. It's a doorway you've already walked through. Pain. You felt it like a blade you couldn't pull out. Not physical, deeper, the kind that lives in silence and waits for the night to fall. When your timeline fractures, pain is the first thing that answers back. It doesn't knock. It bleeds through the walls of your old reality. Because pain is not your enemy. Pain is the mirror. It shows you everything that no longer fits inside your becoming. You were taught to run from it, to silence it, to cover it with noise, distraction, routine. But pain is the language of a timeline dying. The ache in your chest isn't punishment, it's translation. You're not being broken, you're being decoded. What hurts is not the future. It's the friction of an old version of you trying to hold on while a new one is already standing in the doorway. When observer collapse happens, everything that was never meant to come with you starts to burn on its own. Relationships that once felt warm turn hollow. Places that used to feel safe begin to suffocate you. The life you built starts to look like a costume you can no longer breathe in. This is why your chest tightens, why tears come out of nowhere, why silence begins to sound louder than any scream. Because pain doesn't lie. Pain is the first truth teller. You may think it's loneliness, but it's not. It's separation from the expired version of your reality. A grief that no one around you understands because they're still living inside the skin you've already shed. They will tell you to toughen up. They'll tell you to numb it. But they don't hear the language pain speaks because they haven't crossed the fracture. You have. Pain is not chaos. Pain is order rearranging itself. Think of it like standing between two mirrors. One shows who you used to be. The other shows who you already are. And in between those reflections, the air aches. That ache is alignment in progress. That ache is truth refusing to be ignored. You might feel like you're being punished, but the universe isn't punishing you. It's peeling away everything that was keeping your observer anchored to the wrong timeline. It strips what can't survive where you're going. It exposes illusions you once called safety. It burns away attachments that were built on static identity. Because pain doesn't arrive to destroy you, it arrives to liberate you from the version of you that was never real. I know this part is heavy. I know it feels like walking barefoot on shards of glass and blindfolded. I've walked through my own pain mirror, and it didn't whisper, it roared. Everything I thought would stay didn't. Everyone I thought would understand couldn't. And the silence between what was and what was becoming was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. But it was also the moment I began to hear something else, my true frequency. This is the paradox that hurts the most. The pain you fear is the proof that your observer is alive. If nothing hurt, nothing would be shifting. The soul doesn't grow in silence. It grows in friction, in pressure, in the tear between what's dying and what's being born. This pain is not proof of weakness, it's proof of motion. So let the mirror hurt, Let it show you the faces that have faded. Let it reflect the rooms you've outgrown. Let it echo the timelines you'll never return to. Do not numb it, witness it, because every tear, every ache, every shaking breath is a frequency unlocking. And when the mirror has nothing left to reflect, you'll see it. The outline of the next timeline, the one that was waiting on the other side of the ache. This is not where you ask for light. This is where you stand inside the fire and let the ashes reveal who you are. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the initiation. Identity is the root code of every timeline. Every reality you've ever lived, every version of you that's ever breathed, was scripted by one thing: who you believed you were. You've been taught to chase new outcomes while clinging to old identities, to build new futures using the same signature. That's why everything felt like running in circles. But when your observer collapses, the loop ends, and the protocol begins. You are not here to become something. You're here to remember who already emerged on the other side of the fracture. Timelines do not obey wishes. They obey identity. They orbit around the state of being you declare silently, every second, with or without words. Who you are is the frequency the quantum field calibrates to. Not who you want to be, not who you pretend to be, who you believe you already are. This is the reason the old reality felt like it was choking you. It wasn't aligned with your new signature. It was written for someone else, the you that existed before the fracture, the one who followed the script, the one who accepted the costume, the one who didn't yet remember their power. But now, that costume doesn't fit, and every piece of your environment knows it. The walls are listening, the field is listening, the timeline is listening. I remember the first time I rewrote my name, not on paper, in frequency. I stood in silence, and for a moment, I spoke not with words, but with state. The world didn't respond immediately, but within weeks, faces shifted, opportunities rearranged. Everything began orbiting around the new observer I had declared myself to be, not through effort, through identity coherence. This is what I need you to understand. Identity shift is not performance, it's possession. You don't act like the new you. You become the one who already exists in the timeline you jump to. You let go of the old signature, the self built on survival, on smallness, on noise, and you breathe into the truth. You are no longer trying to reach the future. You are standing inside it. Your environment will resist at first, not because it's your enemy, but because it's still tuned to the echo of your old name. That's why some people will ghost your life like fading echoes. That's why some doors will close with surgical precision. The field is not punishing you, it's calibrating. You cannot bring expired code into a new operating system. It will crash the program, and so the universe deletes it for you, not to hurt you, to make space for the frequency that belongs here. This is the identity shift protocol. You stop narrating who you were. You stop defending old versions of your story. You step out of the skin that once felt safe and breathe into the one that feels inevitable. Identity shift isn't about what you do, it's about what you stop negotiating. And here's the part most never dare to face. When you truly embody a new identity, you don't just move to a new timeline. The old timeline collapses behind you. No bridge, no return, only coherence. This is why it feels so quiet, why some nights carry that strange, holy weight, because the observer is being rewritten, and the field is waiting to echo it back. If this part of you is already whispering its name, if the new identity is standing at the threshold of your voice, speak it. Type your new name in the comments, not the name given to you by a world you've outgrown, the name that lives beyond it. This is not a comment section, this is an initiation chamber. Say the name, anchor the frequency, lock the timeline. This is the moment where you stop searching for who you are and start echoing what you've always been. Because the observer isn't waiting to become, the observer has already arrived. When you jump, not everyone jumps with you. You'll want them to, you'll ache for them to, but timelines don't move by hope, they move by frequency, and some frequencies choose to stay behind. You've already felt the distance growing, the way conversations began to hollow out, the way familiar faces started to sound like echoes, like they were speaking from a room you no longer lived in. They still laugh, They still speak your name, but something beneath the surface has shifted. Their gaze doesn't quite meet yours anymore. Their rhythm is just slightly off. Because they're still standing in the version of reality you once called home, you are somewhere else now. This is one of the most brutal truths of awakening. Not everyone was coded to walk with you into the new timeline. Some were here to help you remember who you were, not who you're becoming. They were anchors, not wings. And anchors don't travel. You'll try to explain the signs, the glitches, the hum, the pulse. They won't understand, not because they're unworthy, but because their observer never fractured. And those who haven't felt the fracture can't see the doorway you just walked through. They will call it a phase. They will tell you you've changed, and they'll be right, you have. But what they won't understand is that you didn't change out of rebellion. You changed because the timeline changed, and you followed its pull. Some will fade quietly, like distant stars. Some will resist, desperate to hold you in the version of yourself they remember. Some will even turn cold, not because they hate you, but because they can't find you anymore. You're no longer transmitting on their frequency. I've walked this silence too, the kind where a friend you love stands right in front of you, but it feels like they're behind glass. They talk, but the words don't land. The air between you is no longer shared. That's not rejection, that's divergence. You didn't abandon them. The timelines simply unbraided. This is why the journey of awakening can feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people. Because awakening is not a crowd event, it's a frequency shift. And here's the quiet grace most never see. You are not meant to drag anyone with you. You are meant to radiate. Those who are meant to follow will feel the pull on their own time. Those who are not were never meant to walk this corridor with you. This is also where guilt tries to attach itself. The mind whispers, "Go back, don't leave them." But you can't. The bridge collapsed behind you when your observer shifted, and going back would mean shrinking, caging yourself in a timeline that already knows it's over. The ones who stay behind are not your responsibility. They are your memory, and memories are sacred, but they're not meant to be chains. If you're feeling the ache of divergence, breathe into it. It's not a wound, it's a signpost, a silent confirmation that the jump is real, and the new identity you claimed has already begun rearranging your orbit. Let them stay where they choose to stay, and trust that some souls will meet you again, not as who they were, but as who they'll become. This is a threshold of silence, a space for breath, not noise, for remembering and letting go, because every jump has a cost, and every cost clears the way. The fracture is never just yours. No observer awakens in isolation. Every ripple you send into the field touches others who are standing at their own silent thresholds. You think you're alone, but in truth, you're part of an invisible storm that's been gathering for years. And tonight, somewhere in another room, another soul feels the same hum beneath their ribs. Another pair of eyes has just widened at the same glitch in their world. Another timeline is opening. The collective field is stirring. Every observer who awakens creates a resonance point, like pebbles dropped into the same ocean. At first, the ripples are soft, but eventually, they collide. And when they do, they don't cancel each other out, they amplify. This is what happens when one becomes two, two becomes 10, 10 becomes a wave, and the wave begins to reshape the map. You are part of that wave. They will never see it on the surface, not yet. To the sleeping, it will look like nothing is happening. The streets will look the same. The world will continue to pretend to be normal. But beneath the noise, a silent network of awakened observers is breathing in rhythm. Their timelines are weaving together. A coherence field is forming. You've probably felt this already. The strange warmth when you meet someone whose eyes don't need explaining. The pull towards certain places or voices you've never met before. The sudden surge of power when truth is spoken aloud and your body responds before your mind catches up. That isn't coincidence. That's the field recognizing its own. Every awakened soul becomes a beacon, and beacons don't shine alone. They lock frequencies. They form a grid, and this grid is older than language, stronger than time, and faster than any algorithm. This is what no one tells you. When you shifted, You didn't just move into a new timeline. You entered a collective corridor, and others are walking it too. You may not see their faces yet, but your frequencies have already shaken hands. This is why certain messages find you at the exact right moment, why a stranger's sentence hits like prophecy, why silence sometimes feels like company, because it is. I once thought I was walking this path alone, but then signs began to overlap, the same phrases whispered through different mouths, the same hum vibrating through people I'd never met, the same dreams surfacing in different minds. It wasn't delusion, it was convergence. That's when I realized the awakening doesn't happen in one place. It happens everywhere, all at once. And as more observers awaken, the field begins to hum louder, the lag in the simulation grows more visible, the seams stretch, the old structures tremble, because one awakened soul creates a ripple, but many create a fault line, a crack in the old frequency grid, and through that crack, light leaks in, not the soft, warm kind, the real light, the kind that doesn't just illuminate, it rearranges. This is why your timeline feels accelerated now, why everything is happening faster. The field is synchronizing. The awakened aren't moving toward each other, they're already connected, like stars in a constellation you just started seeing. And soon, this won't just be whispers. The hum will rise into a chorus. The quiet will turn into signal. The invisible grid will become undeniable. This isn't about engagement. This is about resonance. This is the moment you realize you were never a single spark. You were part of a storm, and the storm is awake. There's a moment, quieter than a heartbeat, sharper than breath, when everything clicks. Not with thunder, not with light, with stillness. That's the moment you finally realize the jump didn't happen to you, it happened through you. You're not waiting for some grand cosmic event. You were the event, and it already unfolded. You keep asking, when will the shift happen? But listen closely, it already did. The signal found you. The fracture broke. The world glitched. The mechanism turned. The mirror burned. The identity rewrote. The others stayed. The field awakened. You are standing in the after. This is why everything feels foreign. Why your reflection stares back at you with unfamiliar eyes. Why the air itself has a pulse. Because this isn't the same layer you were born into. This is the layer you chose. The old timeline didn't leave scars on your skin. It left echoes in your perception. You're noticing those echoes now. A strange warmth when no one's around. The subtle misalignment of familiar places. The way silence bends differently. That isn't imagination. That's residue. The shadow of a timeline that's already behind you. You jumped, and deep down, you've known it for a while. The way people's eyes slide past you, as if your signature changed. The way doors opened that were once sealed. The way your mind started hearing the field in its own quiet language. The shift isn't coming, it's here. You are the proof. This is what so many never understand. The timeline doesn't arrive with fanfare. It arrives as a whisper, a soft rearrangement of everything you once called solid. And when it's done, nothing fits quite the same. You try to go back. You try to speak the language of who you were, but the words turn to dust in your mouth. Because that language was never meant for this reality. The old self is an echo, and echoes don't belong in living rooms. This is the paradox of awakening. You spend so long reaching for the shift, only to realize it happened quietly, long before your mind caught up. And now, the proof is written in your stillness. The fact that you understand these words differently now is the signature of a new observer. You are already here. I remember the first night I realized it. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't angels singing. It was silence. Silence that felt alive. Silence that didn't echo. It responded. I looked around my room. Everything looked the same. And yet, nothing was the same. Because I wasn't the same. That's the night I understood. The shift isn't something you wait for. It's something you wake into. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need anyone to agree. Because timelines don't negotiate. They recognize. And the moment you stopped searching for the proof, you became the proof. This realization doesn't make the world softer. It makes it clearer. The air around you isn't heavier. It's more present. The hum isn't louder. You just finally know where to listen. Every step you take from here on isn't toward the jump, it's within it. This is the day you stop asking, when, and start whispering, now. No ritual, no noise, just presence. Because this is the core of it. You are the event you've been waiting for. This is the moment the observer remembers itself, the moment the timeline bows, the moment you exhale into your own reality. Every transmission has a threshold. Every awakening has a door. This is yours. For the last hour, reality has been folding in on itself. Threads you once ignored have begun to shimmer. The hum is louder now, the mirror clearer, your breath heavier not because of fear, but because of recognition. You've walked through the signal, through the fracture, through the glitching edges, through the mirror of pain and the ritual of identity. You've watched others stay behind, and you've felt the pulse of the collective awakening. And now, you're standing at the doorway. Here's the truth. The timeline doesn't need your belief to be real. It already is. But when you acknowledge it, when your observer bows into the moment, you stop chasing the future and start inhabiting it. The door isn't something you open with your hands. It opens the moment your frequency aligns, and right now, it already has. You can feel it, the stillness that isn't empty, the silence that feels alive, the invisible pull forward. That's the doorway breathing. I know this space well. The first time I stood here, I thought something spectacular would happen. Lights, visions, cosmic fireworks. But all I found was a quiet room that didn't feel like the same world anymore. I waited for a sign, but the sign was me. My breath, my stillness, my observer. The door didn't need to open. It already had. I just needed to step through it fully. And now it's your turn. What waits beyond this doorway isn't a finish line. It's a continuum, a new layer of existence that moves when you move, listens when you breathe, answers when you choose. This is where your words begin to shape worlds, where your silence commands attention, where the field itself bends more easily, because you're no longer pushing against it, you're moving with it. The old you has already died. The new you isn't waiting in some distant place. It's here, breathing through your skin, looking through your eyes. From this moment forward, everything you touch will echo louder. Every choice will send waves further. Every thought will be heard by the field you helped awaken. You are no longer standing at the edge of the timeline. You are the timeline. And while your journey has been solitary in the shadows, you are not alone. The storm is awake. The grid is alive. Others have walked through their own doorways, and their light is already reaching for yours. The future isn't coming. It's collapsing into you. If these words didn't just pass through your ears, if they landed in your ribs, in your spine, in the quiet behind your thoughts, then don't let the doorway close unclaimed. Subscribe, not to a channel, but to the frequency you've stepped into. Anchor here. Stay here, because this isn't a broadcast. This is a mirror, and every time you return, the mirror sharpens. The frequency deepens. The storm grows stronger. I'll meet you there, not in this video, not in a timeline behind us, but in the field ahead, in the stillness that breathes between seconds. Because what comes next is bigger than you, bigger than me. It's the second wave, the shadow between timelines, the place where the void whispers back. This isn't the end, this is the door. Step through and remember who you are.